everyone, and welcome to the Culture Cast. I'm Chris Dashew, and I am joined by a man among men. He's a true mensch, the one and only host of the Projection Booth podcast. Your friend and mine, Mr. Mike White.
I was told that there would be curry on this episode.
Wow. I don't like curry, says white people who don't know what Indian food is. Have you ever had that conversation with someone? You're just like, have you ever tried Indian food? I don't like curry. You have never tried Indian food.
Exactly.
Like,
you need to shut your mouth and go get yourself some samosas.
Yeah, go get yourself some biryani or gulab jamun or...
You know, if you are a total wimp about Indian food, just butter chicken. Just get butter chicken.
Or tikka masala.
Yeah.
You know what it is? I'm just going to say this as a blanket statement. White people who like to be offended, please be offended. White people don't like food that tastes like stuff. Mm-hmm. Right?
At least
isn't
Americans.
That the joke?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the joke, right? Like, oh, yeah, white bread with mayonnaise on it. Ooh, that's spicy. Like, I mean, Indian food has a ton of spices in it, so, you know, I get it. But, yeah, holy shit. Indian food's amazing. You know what else is amazing? We're going to be talking about a little Indian film that you have probably never seen, but you should rectify that immediately. We're talking about 1989's Hindi language film, Parinda. So it's directed by Vidhu Vinod Chopra. It stars Jackie Shroff, Anil Kapoor. You probably have, if you've seen Slumdog Millionaire, Anil Kapoor plays the host of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in Slumdog Millionaire. Also stars Nana Patekar. The music is not by A.R. Rahman. Sorry, Mike. I know you're disappointed.
It's okay.
However, the music is done by R.D. Burman. And the film centers on two brothers, one who goes away to the United States to become a learned fellow, and the other one has to stay home and be a gangster to help his other brother essentially become the person that the other one isn't. It's a very, very straightforward story, very simple story, but there's a lot of interesting things at play. There are some fantastic performances. Mike, I know I had initially asked you to be on the Sholay podcast this month for Indian Cinema Month, and you had already done a podcast on it, so no one's going to listen to my podcast. They're just going to listen to yours.
Sure.
Now that they know that that's a thing, but what did you think of your first viewing of Parinda?
I was blown away. It was so much fun. And yeah, this hit so many things that I like. I mean, this was, I think... By this time, Hong Kong cinema had already really gotten into the heroic bloodshed genre, and this felt like it was heroic bloodshed. The kind of overwrought, the very dramatic things that were going on. I mean, especially, and I guess it really called to mind John Woo, the death of one character, which just has all of these frickin' pigeons flying around. I was just like, oh, this kind of reminds me of John Woo and his doves, and just the music swelling and all of this. It just tickled me pink watching this movie.
So before I give my thoughts, I do want to say we are going to spoil this movie, and I say that for one reason. This is now third film in a row where you will do yourself a disservice by listening to this podcast without having seen the movie. It is, just to give a quick summary, and I think I can speak for both of us, amazing, and you need to watch it.
Oh, yeah.
But we are going to spoil it, and there are parts of this film that, if you don't know it's coming, you're best left, actually experiencing it, watching the film fresh. So, that out of the way, holy shit, this movie's amazing. Look, we talked about Sholay, that movie's amazing. We talked about Enthiran, that movie's amazing. They're amazing for different reasons. And this is something that Richard touched on in the first podcast, where he talked about these films, these Indian cinema films, really going for it. And when they go for it, they're going for it 100%. And that is something that is so lacking in even modern American cinema. You get these filmmakers who will take chances, but it feels like chance taking in American cinema has been stifled. And Jess and I talked about that on the last podcast because, you know, nobody makes original films anymore. Everything is an adaptation or remake or, you know, what have you. This film, while the initial setup is generic, straightforward crime drama, the performances, the music, the framing of some of these scenes it's so masterfully done that it bums me out to read that the film was India's official selection for the 1990 Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film, because this film could have been a contender for Best Film of the Year. And you know what? Should have won, because this movie has so many things that like contemporary audiences gravitate to. And yeah, it's in a different language. So fucking what?
Well, it's not even like when you hear about Indian cinema these days, it's like, oh God, I gotta strap in. It's going to be 3.5 hours and it's going to be so many songs and this and that. Yeah, there's some songs in here, but they work in service of the story. And I think this movie's only like 2.5 hours long?
Yeah. Of the films I've watched this month, it is the lightest on musical interludes. And I will say that the musical interludes in this film, one of them, towards the end, completely unnecessary.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, it's almost... there's a comedic scene between Kishan and Karan that doesn't feel like it needs to be in this film that up until this point has had characters being murdered with wanton abandon, and I would even go as far as to say complete cruelty and brutality. And then there's this like really bizarre like musical interlude that's humorous, because there is another musical interlude that's not humorous, but it just completely stands out as like a really weird choice in the last 3/4 of the film.
I was still there with it, though. Everything about this movie, I was just like, yep, okay, I'm good. This is good.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Like, as much as I didn't like it, and it wasn't that I didn't like it. I mean, again, the song is great. I wouldn't say it's the song that I could have stuck in my head at this point from the film, but it seems out of place, and that's a disservice to the song, because the song is good. It's comedic, and once the film gets into the final 3/4, you kind of know where the film is headed.
Oh, yeah.
Like, almost telegraphed, but it's still really... I mean, the last 15 minutes of this movie are rough. Almost in a way that I haven't experienced since something like The Departed. Like, that's how I would compare the ending of this film. Because, like, you've been on this journey with these characters for almost 3 hours, and then there you go.
When our main character fucking gets shot, I say to my wife, this has to be a dream sequence. And then he's... No, he's dead. Oh.
Not just shot. Oh. He gets shot. His newlywed wife gets shot.
Yeah.
And again, Mike and I are doing a disservice. They're not shot. They are perforated like Swiss cheese with bullets.
Yeah, it's like Sonny on the Causeway.
Yeah, like that I think is the most apt description. Because like in The Departed, Leo's character gets, headshot coming out of the elevator. I mean, I remember sitting in the theater and hearing this audible of people. That was me with this film. Like, I was like, holy shit, this is brutal. And it's brutal for a good reason. And you know what it made me realize was, and you, a frame of reference here, because you like I said at the top, you did a podcast on Sholay. It gives me that comeuppance from Sholay that I didn't get.
Yep.
Because, Sholay at the end, the main villain doesn't get his comeuppance because Indian cinema at the time, the internal board of cinema said, you can't do that. Boy, how far they had come by 1989.
Oh,
I mean, holy shit. It is, it's brutal, but at the same time, it makes perfect sense with the story that they're telling.
Yeah, and they had given us that line earlier about the guy who, Anna, who is just super freaked out by fire, and we find out why he's freaked out by fire, and I'm just like, okay, that's going to be the way that this guy goes, is through fire. And I still wasn't ready for what happens to him.
Oh my god. So, but before we talk about that, I know that in Indian kind of cinema and culture, Gabbar Singh from Sholay is colloquially anecdotally I've read, and I'm sure you read the same stuff, he is considered the Darth Vader of Indian cinema. He is as popular as Darth Vader is for American audiences. He's as recognizable a villain. How is this villain in this film, Anna Seth? How is he not right up there?
Oh man,
This is one of the worst villains in movie history. He's just, everything about him is exactly that perfect character, and he has that look. He has that look to him too. Nana Pakatar has this look that just oozes the kind of absolute deplorable scumbag that this character is. And then not only does he have that look to him, which you got to give credit to the set designers and the costumers, but then, Vidhu Vinod Chopra's script just, he's given so much to do, and he has that tick with the fire that is just, he's shaking uncontrollably.
It's hitting his own head.
It's insane.
Yeah, he is fantastic. He kind of reminded me a little bit of like younger Jean Reno.
Yeah, kind of.
Like, you do not want to fuck with this guy.
Yeah, and, I completely agree. You look at this character, and the way that you see him in the introduction to the film is, look, they copped from The Godfather. That first scene just reminded me of the first scene in The Godfather, where you've got Marlon Brando at the desk. They open almost in a similar framing with this character. And you're just like, okay, I get it. I understand what kind of character this is and who this character is. And they're burying the dead bodies underneath the smashed pottery. And, he rules with an iron fist, and he takes no shit from anyone, and anyone in his group is expendable. You completely get who this character of Anna is from the moment you meet him.
Though I was really surprised when he started to ask his sister if she wanted to build a snowman. I had to laugh every time he would refer, because he talks about himself in the third person sometimes. He's just like, Anna does this, Anna does. I'm like, your name is Anna. That's pretty funny.
But does he want to build a snowman? He is great, but I'll tell you what, Jackie Shroff and Anil Kapoor, man. Anil Kapoor, again, having only seen him in, because I'd never watched 24, but I know he was part of 24. Having only ever seen him in Slumdog Millionaire, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's amazing.
Yeah, I didn't even recognize him, because Slumdog was, 99 or something? I don't remember.
No, Slumdog was 2008?
2008. Okay, so there's
2008 or 2009. I remember it came out when I was still in college, because I went and saw it while I was in college.
So a 20-year difference between the two of these things, just about. And
yeah,
I didn't really recognize him, but then as soon as you said that, I was like, oh yeah, okay, that's where I know him from.
Yeah, he's great as the brother who goes away, and he's believable. And I love the first scene between him and Kishan, played by Jackie Shroff, where they meet in the middle of the street and they stop all the traffic, because that gives you such a insight into their relationship, and it makes everything else that much more awful. when I can't, this movie, honestly, Mike, and I don't say this very often, this movie depressed the shit out of me.
Oh yeah,
it's a hard watch.
Yeah,
for as good as it is.
There are some real gut punch moments in here. Yeah.
So Karan, played by Anil Kapoor, comes back to India, and him and his brother essentially grew up on the streets, and they were having to scrimp and scrounge for every little bit of money or food. And his brother, Kishan, falls in with Anna, the main villain, pretty early on, and he supports his brother through the rest of their life. So he's the one taking the fall for his brother, essentially, so his brother can have the life that he doesn't have. And I find it hard to believe that Anil Kapoor's character didn't realize what his brother was doing that whole time.
Yeah, at first I thought he was simple, because he's so happy and stuff, and I'm like, do you not realize what's happening here? And I thought, maybe he had gone away because he was in a special school or something. But yeah, when I realized he was supposed to be a relatively intelligent person who had gone away to school and was living the better life, I was like, how do you not see what's happening with your brother?
I didn't get it. Like, do you not see the people he hangs out with?
Right.
Do you not see the people that he runs up water towers and beats their shit out of? That scene where he beats up Musa's guards. Musa, played by a white man. a white man born in India, actor Tom Alter, who had a prolific Indian cinema career, which just goes to show not all Indian cinema actors are Indian.
Right.
It was. I didn't know that there was going to be a Caucasian actor in this film, but when he showed up, I was like, wait a second, it's like a white guy.
Yeah. What's he doing here?
Yeah, he's like a rival gang boss. And that scene where Kishan is running up the water tower, and the dude is laying on the stairs of the water tower, and Kishan is just whooping the shit out of him. Again, there's so much going on in this movie that, similarly to the last two podcasts, we're not going to be able to cover all of it. This movie's almost 3 hours long. Again, similarly to Robo and Sholay, Indian cinema packs the screen full. There's something going on in every scene. Very few scenes are slow.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple. And the funny thing is, when there are slow scenes, it really highlights the slowness and the tension of those scenes.
Yeah, but it is good paced, well paced.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that I've been noticing this month with Indian cinema is, while the film is 3 hours long or 2.5 hours long, I'm not sitting and watching the clock.
Right.
Going, when is this going to be over? This scene is boring.
Right. No, there was absolutely none of that.
No. What did you think of Madhuri Dixit, the woman who plays Paro, the love interest?
She doesn't have a lot to do, but I was not sitting here going, why is she on screen? It just made sense that she was there. And then also this whole misunderstanding of, hey, Karan, you set up my brother and all this kind of stuff, and just all of those relationships that were going on. It was, it made sense, though she had kind of a thankless role.
I've kind of noticed in the Indian cinema films that we've been watching this month, it's kind of odd to me. Not odd from a cultural standpoint, unfortunately. It's kind of odd to me that Indian female actresses are really relegated to these supporting roles in these films.
Oh, yeah.
They're not given much to do. They're there for the musical numbers, the musical interludes, but similarly to Robo, similarly to Sholay, they're the damsel in distress that the male characters are fighting over or trying to protect. And to me, that seems like a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I would be very curious if there are roles, if there are films where the women have better roles to them. I'm sure there has to be.
I'm sure there has to be in 2020.
I would hope so.
And more contemporary films. But, I can understand it in 89 or even in 70. But to me, it seems almost inexcusable in, 2000 forward. Mm-hmm. That, and obviously, again, like I mentioned on the last podcast, I don't want to tear down the Indian film industry, because holy shit, we should be doing that for our own film industry first. But it is unfortunate, because the female character in this film especially does kind of feel like a piece of the plot, less a character.
Yeah, like I said, this does remind me a lot of Hong Kong cinema, and she has, the Jenny role. She sings, she's in peril. It's like, okay, all right, that makes sense. For the time, it worked, but yeah, I would like to have seen her have a little bit more agency.
But again, everything else makes up for it. Jackie Shroff and Anil Kapoor's performances. We haven't really even talked about Jackie Shroff at all. We've mentioned him, but we focus more on Anil Kapoor. Their interplay, their relationship is so strong and so believable. Their chemistry is so believable that it's not that I don't care. It's just, if that's what they're investing all the time into, I'm all here for it. I'm on board 100%.
Yeah, there's nobody for me that gives a bad performance. And yeah, there were moments where I was like, whose movie is this? Is this Kishan's? Is this Karan's? And I like that there are those moments where I have to think about that, because both of these performances were so strong.
I think I came to the kind of conclusion personally, and I'd be curious where you come down on this. It's Kishan's film.
Yeah, I can see that.
Less Karan's film. Because, I mean, you follow Kishan from the get-go.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and he's the last man standing.
Boy, isn't he. So, Karan's character is infiltrating Anna's gang, Anna's crime syndicate, to get revenge on the men who killed his soon-to-be wife's brother, who was a police inspector, Inspector Prakash, who dies like in the first 10 minutes of the film.
Right.
And he's pitting... I mean, you know what it reminded me of? And this is going to be a terrible analogy, and it's not to indicate the quality of the film. There were moments where I was like, this reminds me of that Tom Jane Punisher film, where he's like pitting them against themselves and they don't know it.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
But in that film, the hero never gets his comeuppance for doing so. In this film, oh man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. There were other films where I was just like, okay, yeah, this is similar. It's that, yeah, like you said, pitting the gangsters against one another, setting each other up. Like, look at these incriminating photos that were taken of you. What were you doing with this person? It does.
The other gang killed him.
Right.
I didn't kill him. The other gang killed him.
So yeah, it was familiar territory, but it was nice to see that change because through so much of this film, Karan is just like, hey, I'm the innocent boob and what's going on? I don't know what's happening. And then finally when he figures stuff out, it's like, hey, I'm now a badass and I'm going to go after these guys. He like really changes the way he walks, the way he moves and everything. He's just like, okay, now I'm going to do this. And then I'm like, all right, great. Now we have like a vigilante kind of a film. And it's very interesting that he is doing this and still has to, keep his brother out of this stuff. And his brother is much more of a real badass. And Karan is just kind of pretending to be a badass.
It is all just for show. And when he has this kind of final breakdown moment with Paro at the end of the film, his love interest, Karan essentially says, what are we going to teach our kids to kill people? I mean, I've killed people now. I've gone against every fiber of my being to get revenge for you and ostensibly for himself as well, obviously. And he's like, you don't need me around. I'm the problem. And I appreciate that journey that the character goes on because it is such a transformative journey. Obviously, then you have the end of the film where he's cut down in cold blood, but I like that journey because it's an interesting journey because, like you already mentioned, he gets sent away by his brother, and his brother was trying to protect him from this life, and he can't. And he laments it in one of the film's best scenes. Yeah.
There's some real heartrending moments in this movie.
There's a scene about halfway through the film where Anna tells Kishan, hey, your brother can't testify against one of the three men who killed this inspector. He can't testify, so either you convince him not to testify or kill him.
Right.
And then, of course, once Kishan leaves the room, he tells his other lackey, I think it's Abdul, he's like, if he doesn't kill him, kill both of them. Fuck them both. Oh. And that scene, when they're on the boat, sets up the finale of the film perfectly. And they actually echo the lines at the end of the film.
Yeah.
About, there's, if you've been killing all these people, someone's going to come for you eventually in your family. And look, that's what happens. So it is heartbreaking because they set up their own, they understand their own demise is coming. And they know where this is headed. And Karan's character is smart enough to know that someday someone's going to come for him. He wouldn't have thought it would have been because of his own doing, but unfortunately it is.
Yeah. I mean, he is no, Tony Montana, just like, I'm at the top of the world, nothing can touch me. And I'm glad that they all have this pathos.
And he's like, I'm out of here. Like, I want to run away. I want to get away. Let's run away and start a new life. And it's like, nope. You don't get to do that. Not in this universe. And not in reality, frankly. I mean, that's kind of, that is the thing that I think American audiences have a hard time with. Don't make it real, make it fun, and make it an entertaining film. And American audiences hate a sad ending. So much so that you have films like a film we watched earlier this year, Pennies from Heaven, lambasting that fact. Everybody deserves a happy ending. And it's like, not everybody deserves a happy ending. Some characters effectively fuck themselves out of a happy ending, like Karan's character does. And I really love that about this film, because it says, no, I'm not going to do the traditional, Hollywood ending where they get away and they all live happily ever after. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I really appreciate that about the film.
Yeah, no, it was 100% appropriate.
Yeah, I completely agree. So let's talk about the finale. So Karan and Paro get married. They go off on a boat that Kishan got for them, and they're going off to start their new life. And the white gang boss, played by Tom Alter, who had been essentially, I guess, in cahoots with Karan, and as much as he was helping take down Anna's gang, and that's it.
Yeah.
Could you figure out why he told him?
Not really, no.
That was the one kind of sticking point, and that's the thing I've been going over in my head since I watched it. Why? I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Because to me, there's no character motivation for telling the rival gang member's character, hey, the guy inside of your gang is destroying you from the inside out. Like, why wouldn't he just let it continue?
Yeah, it was a little false.
Yeah, it felt weird to me, but they get away, and then Anna turns out he knows that Karan killed Francis, killed Abdul, and killed what's the other guy's name? There's a third guy. I don't remember the third character's name.
No.
Rama. And Anna goes to the boat while Karan and Paro are just getting done making love, and like we mentioned before, he guns him down.
Ugh.
It is, it's up there for me with some of the most brutal death scenes in film I've seen in a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Because Anna busts in, he's got like a Tech 9, and he just unloads on him, and unloads. Like, there are no bullets left in a 30 bullet clip gun.
Oh, yeah.
And he just keeps shooting. Oh, it's awful.
The amount of overkill was one of the reasons why I was like, oh, that's not real. There's no way. This has to be a dream sequence.
Okay, so okay. I was curious what your reasoning was. So it makes sense. It's like a revenge fantasy, right?
Yeah. And I was just like, well, it just can't be, I was like, whose dream would it be? Would it have been Anna's dream? Or, because it would be weird to dream about yourself getting murdered. But yeah, I was just like, no. And we can't lose our hero like this. But it does make sense.
Yeah. And he goes as far as to he shoots the bed. It's being supported from the ceiling, and then they roll off the bed. And somehow Karan and Paro are still alive.
Yeah, that was a little. Then I was like, oh my god, are they going to come back from this?
Well, I was worried about the same thing. I was like, they're still moving,
right?
They whistle when they walk. At this point, they have 10 to 15 holes in each of their bodies. It's it's brutal. It's brutal, and then it's kind of unnecessary. And then Kishan goes to meet with Anna, and Anna kind of explains, he has this really, really interesting scene at the end of the film where Anna kind of explains away why he did what he did. And you can't help but agree to some extent. Mm-hmm. Because he's like, well, it was just business.
Yeah.
I can't help it that he was your brother. And you are in this life too. Why are you surprised that that's what we did?
Yeah, exactly.
And then what happens, Mike?
And then oh man.
I want to hear you explain it, because I've been explaining a lot of this film.
This whole thing of how he grabs onto Anna's hand and starts throwing these bottles of booze just over and over and over again.
It's like 15 bottles.
Oh my god, I couldn't believe it. And I'm just like, okay, here comes the fire. And then one of the best things, and I had forgotten about this, because so early in the movie, Kishan gets his brother a lighter that plays a little song, and I'm just like, oh, this is just like that the watch in For a Few Dollars More. Or sorry, Karan gets Kishan lighter. And so I had forgotten about that. But then when he lights that lighter and that little song plays, I'm like, oh, this is perfect.
I mean, it is the comeuppance is perfect, but you didn't mention. You got to mention the best part. What happens after he throws the alcohol? I still can't even believe they shot this scene. Frankly, it looked dangerous.
It looked very dangerous. So a little backstory is that Anna had set his wife on fire. Is that right? Because
they didn't say, they never kind of confirmed that. That's kind of like the anecdotal story in the film, is that his wife supposedly committed suicide, but the running theory is Anna lit his wife and child on fire for whatever reason.
Right, and he is plagued by these visions, and anytime he sees fire, he just goes fucking nuts. And yeah, so you just know that he's going to die by fire, and the fireball that he goes up in is just delightful.
Yeah, so he's suspended from like this platform in the middle of a room, fire around him, and he's just screaming. And then Kishan shoots one of the supports, and the platform falls, and yep, that's game over.
Yep.
And it is, I mean, that scene, no digital effects, no CGI, that was done for real. And Nana Patekar got injured. He was critically injured because they were unable to control the fire. And he suffered serious burns and was hospitalized for 2 months.
Wow.
And it took him a year to get back to filming with him. That's just... You hate to hear stories like that because it looked dangerous, and shockingly, it was massively dangerous.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that scene, like, you see fire in films so often, and most of the time, at least for me, when I see fire in a film, it kind of takes me out of the movie because I'm like, oh my god, this is a real like actor or stunt person underneath there. Like, holy shit, they're on fire. Like, that. I mean, it's not something you fuck with. Having watched the documentary about Kane Hodder and hearing kind of how quickly his kind of little test demonstration that he was doing, how it got out of hand and it scarred him for life. And that's just, to me, that scene is just... It looked dangerous, and it was dangerous, but man, yeah, they went for it. Just don't use petrol to make a fire in the future.
Yeah. Oof. And I like the whole thing, too, of him on that suspended platform and seeing those suspensions, and Kishan having the thought of his brother's marital bed and those suspensions that were broken from that, and just the nice match cut between those. It was great.
Clever, like you mentioned. There's a lot of really clever stuff done with the editing in the film.
Oh, yeah.
And they do have those like quick cutbacks, and like they superimpose stuff on the screen. And it's, again, you've been on this journey with these characters for almost 3 hours. You want to see a satisfying conclusion. Maybe it's not the conclusion anyone wanted, but a satisfying conclusion nonetheless. And yeah, I mean, that, like you said, that little quick cut back to the support on the bed is just that little just bit of extra, just something right on top that just, it really just puts it over the top. And then it goes even further because then you have Kishan. I think he's supposed to be burning Karan and Paro's bodies.
Yeah, I think so.
And you have these cuts, I guess him remembering the two of them playing with the pigeons on the beach, and that's how the film ends. And it's just, I mean, it's just heartbreaking. This movie pulls no punches, and I love it more for that than I would have if it had done what Sholay did.
Yeah.
Because, again, my issue with Sholay was it didn't feel like it had the conclusion that the character of Gabbar Singh deserved. He was such a bastard. He was cutting people's legs off, or cutting people's arms off, and killing main characters, and making women dance on broken glass, and he doesn't get his comeuppance. He's rotting in jail. And it's like, no, Anna Seth is going to get fucking burned to death. And that is what we all want, and that is what he deserves. And it's like, that's exactly what I wanted from this film, and it delivered, and I'm glad that it did, but it also, like we mentioned before, I mean, it really goes to show you how, in the span of, 15 years, the Indian cinema kind of really started moving in a more progressive direction where they allowed these filmmakers to really stretch their legs and maybe really confront some things that are nasty to confront. Because, I mean, again, reading a lot of the stuff I read about this film, this was a very on-the-nose portrayal of Mumbai, the Mumbai crime world.
Right, which I don't know why, but I was just like, oh, that's really a thing. I guess they actually have gangsters over there.
Oh, yeah. Gangsters that, will literally take orphan children and blind them so that they can get more money from beggars. Yeah, dude, it's fucked up.
Oh, man. Speaking of beggars, that one guy that helps him out when...
Oh, Iqbal?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
We didn't even talk about that.
Oh, man.
That whole ordeal in the movie is probably... Even more so, it's more heartbreaking than the main character's demises, because it's awful.
Yeah. Oh, my God. When he grabbed him and threw him up on that drill press, I was just like, oh, my God, you gotta be kidding me.
You're gonna learn now. Oh, shit. Oh. He's drilling into his leg.
Oh.
And then, for some reference for that scene, so Iqbal is this kind of former gang member who disgraces on... I forget what he does exactly.
Well, I think he was like looking to possibly leave Anna's gang and go to another gang or something similar.
Yeah, and so Anna essentially cripples him, and Iqbal is this kind of like street vendor, homeless guy, but he knows all about Anna's gang, and he kind of hangs out near his headquarters, and Karan runs into him, and Karan is, Iqbal kind of waves him down and is telling him what's going on, and so Iqbal kind of helps Karan, and then Anna gets wind of Iqbal helping him, so Karan has to prove himself to the gang. How else does he prove himself other than by, shockingly, committing a murder? Anna and Kishan don't think he's going to do it, and Karan has to kill Iqbal in this boiler room of the building, and Iqbal takes the gun and kills himself.
Oh, it was so rough, man.
It's there's a lot in this movie that, like, if you, like, say you didn't want to watch the movie, you just want to read the Wikipedia, which is sociopath in the making, but, like, doing that does not give you any of the emotional weight of what happens in this movie. It's just like, and then he kills him, it's like, no, there's so much more going on.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, his character killing himself is at the same time heartbreaking as it is, you totally understand that now there is no coming back from this. Because Karan's not going to tell him, oh, yeah, he killed himself.
Right.
Nope. Yeah, nope. Because they know they'll just kill him if he says that. So, the character of Iqbal, played by Samir Kahar, is just, there's so much carnage left in the wake of Kishan and Karan in this film that there's Prakash, Karan, Paro, Rama, Iqbal, Francis, and like one other guy, and it's like, my God, like just death after death after death. And look, again, I don't know about you, but like this is my first Indian cinema crime film.
Yeah, I think this I saw the one that was kind of a redo of Reservoir Dogs. I can't remember. Kante, I think is the name of it. But that's been, the Old Boy remake as well. So I guess I have seen some crime stuff.
But those are adaptations of pre-existing.
Exactly.
So this is the first original.
Or adaptations of adaptations.
And we'll let you be the judge of what film that is. Friend of the podcast, Quentin Tarantino. Right. Yeah. Were those any good?
The remake of Old Boy was interesting. It was really interesting to see how the different cultures approach stuff. And like the spoilers for Old Boy, the incest stuff was not there in the Indian version. Instead, it was the his daughter's virginity that was being auctioned off. And it was great because you know how they will throw in English lines in these movies?
Yeah.
It was just like, blah, 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 blah. She's going to get fucked.
I love the interjection of English in these films.
Yeah.
Because it makes it feel more important than it probably has any right being.
Yes. Oh, so good.
I will say, though, and this is something that we've been kind of grappling with throughout this month, and in this film I feel like it's at even more of a disadvantage. these movies, the subtitles, the songs aren't subtitled.
No, which is a real killer.
It is a fucking killer because I know and you know in this film, they're expounding plot and exposition in the songs.
Exactly.
In Entheron and Cholet, I don't know, because I could pick up what's going on in the movie without the music. But in this film, I really want to hear what some of those songs are talking about, especially the first one with Prakash and Karan, and especially the one between Paro and Karan that seems to have like an interlude that then comes back to the music, because you know that there's stuff going on. And I don't, it's hard to find English translations of these songs as it is. So, I mean, I understand, but it is upsetting because there's a lot going on in these songs that we're kind of missing out on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were lucky to find subtitles for the rest of the movie.
Boy, yeah. And here's the funny thing. So, a lot of these films, you could just go on YouTube and watch them.
Yeah.
And they will have full subtitles, and you can watch them on YouTube, no ads. Indian cinema production companies and distributors don't seem to give a shit. I think it also seems like, especially with some of the Rajnikant films that I was downloading last week off YouTube, they just seem to release them themselves on YouTube. Like, fuck it, we'll just put them on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I wonder if that is just a difference in their industry versus American industry.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, I think is, in this, I could be reading too much into this, but I had a coworker who would watch Indian movies throughout the day, and I was just like, okay, well, this is like a little bit of home for her away from India. So I'm like, I wonder if when you're in India, if bootlegging and all that stuff is just locked down, but maybe when you're out of the country, it's just like, here's a way for you to be connected. Like I said, I could be reading too much into it.
See, so the way I kind of headcanoned it was similar, but one thing is different. I just assumed that everybody torrents and pirates the shit out of everything, so they're like, whatever.
That could be.
We can't fight them, so here it is on YouTube.
You know, by releasing Tenet in Europe first, it might get bootlegged in the United States.
Yeah, fuck Chris Nolan. And fuck, what does he want, 68% now?
I don't know.
Hey, Chris Nolan, no one cares.
Nope.
There's actual real things going on, like people starving in the streets. No one gives a shit about your dumb time travel movie. Fucking prick. I mean, to me, completely off topic, to me, Tenet and whatever the hell that X-Men movie, those are like the punchlines of every movie joke.
Oh,
when are you going to see it? Who knows?
Yeah.
Someday.
I mean, I keep calling Tenet the barometer of the pandemic.
Oh, it pretty much is. It's a pretty good way of looking at it.
Not
and
this week.
Chris Nolan's kind of, his out of touchness is becoming more and more apparent the longer the pandemic goes on. Oh man, he's
living in some sort of white tower. It's like, what the hell are you thinking?
Emphasis on white. White. It is weird though, because as American audiences, we're so used to studios like cracking down hard on people who upload things to YouTube. And yeah, there doesn't seem to, I mean, maybe we're just not seeing it like you said, but there doesn't seem to be any of that with Indian cinema. Like, you can watch most of the movies, if not all of them. I didn't look for Robo, but you can watch this and Cholet in its entirety, English subtitled, on YouTube right now. You don't have to do anything. You just go on YouTube, type it in, and the first two, there's like 2 or 3 for Cholet, and there's 2 or 3 for this. So it's very interesting, and it's very different. And, you know, it's a good different, though, because I like being able to watch these movies and really not having to hunt them down. Yeah,
for once, right?
Yeah, I know. I mean, you especially, obviously, trying to find older foreign language is a fucking pain.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Trying to find, I mean, I don't even, going back to the Cinema Novo, I mean, is The Lion Has 7 Heads? Is that available on DVD? I sure couldn't find it.
But what about that other one?
Which one? Makunema?
Yeah, that one. I guarantee you that one's not on Blu-ray.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Kino Lorber released the entire filmography of that director's. It's amazing.
Guess I shouldn't say I'm surprised if Kino Lorber's involved.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, it's, it is weird, but it is refreshing to be able to just go, YouTube, movie, got it, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, look, here's the thing, and I said this on the last podcast, I'm going to say it on this podcast, I'll probably say it on the next podcast. Dude, I really find Indian cinema to be the most riveting cinema in the world right now. Possibly, period. They really just don't care about what our Western preconceived notions about film are. Like, this is a crime film. Can you imagine if again, going back to the example I've been using, can you imagine if in The Departed, in the last half hour of the movie, Leonardo DiCaprio and Matt Damon broke out in a fucking song and dance?
Sure, they could do it.
Yeah, but they would get laughed out of the theater.
That's true.
And that's the thing with Indian cinema is nobody's laughing.
Mm-mm.
Everybody's completely on board. And I love that.
It is really nice. It's just so integrated into the culture. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And again, you would think, okay, it's an Indian Mumbai crime drama about the underworld of crime. You would think there's not going to be music in this movie. Nope. There totally is. And it doesn't feel tacked on.
Right.
It does kind of feel like there's a female character in this film to justify having some of the songs, but that's a different story. But there are songs between Kishan and Karan, so, take that with what you will.
Mm-hmm.
But in regards to the other Indian cinema films that you've seen, where does this kind of rank for you?
Oh, this is pretty much towards the top. I really enjoyed this. I mean, it is somewhat depressing. It is a little heavier than, the ones that I really like are a little bit just more entertaining and lighter.
Sure.
Or just balls out craziness. I told you, like, Muthu is one of my favorites, and I see that you put that on your Plex server, so I'm excited to hear your review of that.
Do you know where it is right now?
No.
It's on YouTube in its entirety.
Nice.
It's on YouTube. I mean, the whole fucking movie. It's mind-boggling.
That's
to
wild.
me. Like, what are you doing, guys? I guess it doesn't matter. I mean, who cares?
Yeah. But, so I tend to like the frothier ones a little bit more. But, yeah, this was great. I definitely see the appeal, and I'm glad that you asked me to be on this episode.
I'm glad. I mean, I am particularly glad you were on this episode because of your affinity for Hong Kong crime cinema. And this is right up there.
Oh, yeah.
This really just feels like the Indian cinema version. And I actually, as much as I've been talking about how much I want to keep watching Indian cinema films, and you know what, I think at this point, through the end of the year, I'll probably be watching a ton of it. I do want to laser focus in on specific subgenres within Indian cinema. Because Indian crime drama, to me, again, like you mentioned, I don't normally associate Indian cinema, and that's on me, not on them.
Right.
The industry. I don't associate it with that. I associate it with bright colors, bombastic set pieces, over-the-top musical numbers. This movie has none of that. But it has the other things that make it just as equally entertaining.
Exactly. So
what would you give the film out of 5?
I'd probably give this a solid 4 out of 5.
I would give it like a 4.5 out of 5. I'm tempted to give it a 5.
Wow.
It's that good. Can't speak to the inevitable yet oddly bizarrely remade by the director of the original film American Remake.
Yeah, I have yet to watch that one. I'm a little concerned.
Well, the cast looks good.
Yeah.
But
Thomas Jane and sometimes we don't necessarily get along that well.
I love Tom Jane, but I'm right there with you. He was good as the Punisher and in The Mist.
Oh yeah.
But past that, he just wants his kids back. That's all I know. I mean, that's always the fucking his role in Arrested Development is probably my favorite thing about that entire sad excuse for a comedic show. But also Vincent D'Onofrio's. I mean, it's got a lot of really good actors, but boy, it looked like it was critically lambasted into the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
Also, why is the director remaking his own movie?
That's a good question. I mean, I guess to get out to a better audience. I don't know. Bigger audience.
Sure.
Not better
and
audience.
It was like 5 years ago. It was like recent.
Yeah.
Like well-known American actors: Vincent D'Onofrio, Anton Yelchin, Chris Marquette, Tom Jane, Sean Patrick Flannery. I realize most people don't know who the hell Chris Marquette is, but he was the nerdy director, movie-obsessed guy from critically underrated The Girl Next Door. Yeah, I just when I read that there was a remake and it was by the same director, I was like, oh, I should watch it. And then I read that it's like nowhere near as good, and I was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah. Pass.
Even though Alfonso Cuarón has a quote on the poster, and James Cameron of all people.
Wow.
So maybe they know more than we do, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
It's like that scene from The Simpsons. Hey, Tom Clancy, can you give us a thing for the front of the book? I didn't read it. Okay, that's enough. Oh, man. So on that note, we'll take a break and we'll talk about what the final film...
मुझे मिले हो, मुझे परेशान किए जा रहे हो।
बड़े बड़े देशों में ऐसी छोटी छोटी बातें होती रहती हैं। अगर ये तुझे प्यार करती है तो ये पलट के देखेगी। पलट। मैं आ रहा हूँ सर, मैं आ रहा हूँ। तुम मुझसे प्यार करती हो?
सबसे ज्यादा।
मुझ पर भरोसा है?
खुद से ज्यादा।
मैं यहाँ तुम्हें अपनी दुल्हन बनाने के लिए आया हूँ और तुम्हें यहाँ से ले जाऊंगा तभी जब तुम्हारे बाबूजी खुद तुम्हारा हाथ मेरे हाथ में देंगे।
That's right. On the next episode of the Culture Cast, to round out Indian Cinema Month, we are going to be talking about, and forgive me if I butcher it, Diwali Dulhania Le Jayenge, which is not only it's a Shah Rukh Khan film, an SRK film, so we've kind of covered the bases of Amitabh, Rajnikanth, and SRK. It's also one of the most popular Indian cinema films of all time. It's apparently still playing in some theaters in India.
Wow.
And the film came out in the mid-90s, so holy shit. It is a departure from this, though. It is a romantic comedy, which is what SRK seemingly cut his teeth on early in his career before he became the Shah Rukh Khan of note and of popularity and esteem that he is now. So I will be joined by Jess and Maggie on that episode. Until then, what have you been up to at the projection booth, Mr. White?
Well, just keeping it real. This month has been a return to older films that people have actually heard of. So things like All That Jazz and Enemy Mine and F for Fake. So it's we got away from 1969 and Cinema Novo and stuff just for a little while. And then we plunged right back into Checktember in September and get to hear your vocal talents on our All My Good Countrymen episode.
Another great film.
Yeah, I'm excited for people to hear that episode, and I'm hoping more people will check out that movie because it is so good.
No pun intended, right?
Oh.
Hoping people will check out that
Check
film.
it out.
Check it out. Yeah, you should totally check out that episode because it's a full-length commentary that we did on the film. And the movie is, it's depressing as fuck. kind of like this movie.
Yeah.
It's a real depressing movie, but you know what? I'm okay with that because it was good. And if you, like Mike mentioned, you should totally check out the projection booth all the time, not just when I'm on it.
Well, those are better.
I don't know about that. I don't need that kind of ego inflation.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'll tone it down a little bit.
As for me, you can find me on Twitter, casualty_Chris, Chronicles from the Crypt, Dreams for Sale, Barney Miller, Scary Stories We Tell. I don't know. I'm just running out of spots on my business card at this point. I'm going to have to get a little drop down to get the rest of them in there. CultureCast on Twitter, culturecast.com, patreon.com/culturecast is where you can go to help us out. Give us a review on iTunes and Google Play. Big thanks to you, Mike, for joining me. It was fun as always. And again, getting to enjoy what I would consider to be not only traditionally great, but legitimately great cinema I think it's always more fun than, stuff that's middle of the road.
Yipper.
And we'll catch you on the next episode.